afternoon, folks. Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with you for your daily update for Wednesday, October 27th. The good news today is that yesterday's sort of leveling off or slight increase in some of the COVID numbers seems to have been just a one-day thing. We're back on the right track here. It might have just been the data thing, like just some additional positive tests left over from last week or something, because not only are the average number of cases coming back down, it's 1,825 today. That's a very slight decrease from yesterday. 1,867 new cases just for the day, that's the lowest we've seen on a Wednesday in a while. But the 7-day average of positive tests is also down from it was 7.4 yesterday, 7.8 on Monday. Today it's 7.3. So it seems as if yesterday was slightly higher because there were some additional positive tests that got reattributed to the days that they actually happened, right? And then once those get spread out, then you start to see the numbers level off. So that's good. The death average today remains at 17, however. And again, that is to be expected. That's not anything to worry about, really, just because these are fatalities from COVID-19 that happened 6 to 8 weeks ago, okay, when cases were still going up quite a lot. These are the deaths we're seeing today were happening in early September, when we were in the range of 3,000, 2,500 cases per day. We do report 21 new confirmed deaths today, but those are just confirmed today. They happened a while ago. Hospitalizations is the other important measure here, and I unfortunately can't. There it goes. The WHO website was being difficult for a second there. We are below 900 people hospitalized now. 899, just barely below 900, but we're below 900. That's 11 fewer than yesterday, and 170 fewer than a week ago. So that's a precipitous decline in hospitalizations just over the past week and a half or so. Maybe not even that, maybe just in the past week. This is like middle of last week, we were near 1,100, right? So that's good news. The ICU population similarly falling, 271 people currently hospitalized in the ICU. So we're still at about a little less than 1/3 of all hospitalized cases of COVID-19 are in the ICU. But both the overall population and the ICU population are dropping rapidly, which is great news. As a reminder, last year when things were very bad, we peaked in the number of hospitalizations on November 17th at almost 2,300 people hospitalized on that day. That's only a couple of weeks from now would be that November 17th today, this year. And if the trend continues, we'll be well below 1,000. We're way ahead of where we were last year. So that's good news. It's all very good news. This is all mirroring a trend of nationwide general downward trend of COVID-19 cases. I'll also mention, when you look at disease activity level, which is a very simplistic measure, it's basically just new cases per 100,000 residents in a county, right? Not a lot of nuance there. That you're not taking testing into account. You're not taking percentage of positive tests into account. You're not taking vaccinations into account. You're just counting this pure number of new cases per 100,000 residents. For a minute there, almost the entire state was critically high by CDC standards. Now, however, we have only 4 counties that are critically high, 65 counties that are very high, and new this just today, 3 counties are only in the high category. Now, the entire state is high, very high, or critically high, so that's not great news. But the fact is we have 3 counties now who have basically dropped out of that critically high category all the way down to just regular high. Okay, so but again, if you just looked at that today with no context, you'd be like, oh my God, Wisconsin's on fire. Like, this is terrible. But you look at this in the context of a trend, you see things are getting better, and that's what we want to see every day. We just want to see things getting better. Now we did crack 55% fully vaccinated. I think that's got something to do with it. Also, it's just true that viruses travel, right? So when the rest of the country is like 70% vaccinated, that does have a ripple effect throughout the entire country. So that, there's just not as much virus around the United States, which means there's going to be less in Wisconsin also. It takes us, we're kind of a few weeks behind the national trend, but we are mirroring the national trend of downward numbers of cases. So that is the COVID report for today. I guess we got some other local news for you if you stay with us for just 30 seconds. We'll be right back right after this. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk a little bit about some music. We've got a new reporter on the team. His name is Luis Acosta Jr., and he's got a feature profile this morning of a UW-Madison senior who's an industrial engineering major, but also a musician named Derek Gonzalez. He performed as Derek G. It's one of those guys that defies genre, right? He's a rapper and a singer, and he does some funk and some pop and some R&B. He's got a full band behind him, and he's going to be performing Friday night at the Wisconsin Union. So get a look at that. Stories on Madison365.org right now. There's some video and some audio and a really nice interview with Derek G. by Luis Acosta Jr. Also today we have... we've redistricted the county board, or all the districts for the Dane County Board, and there's a new District 9 that is underrepresented at the moment. So April Kagea, who is a health advocate, and she works with the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness, along with some other organizations around town, and she has thrown her hat into the ring to be elected to that seat in District 9. She just announced that this morning, and our Dave Dahmer, our editor, was able to talk to her and get a story up pretty quick about that. So especially if you live in Dane County over on the west side, give that a read and get yourself familiar with April Kagea running for county board. Also today, a shakeup at Madison East High School, as you might be aware. There have been some allegations of some sexual assault by a student, and by some, more than once. And the principal there, Sean Levy, was new this year. Just 3 months ago, he started, and the students were walking out and protesting, and did not appreciate the way he was handling it. And today, it was announced that he was being moved to a district administration position. And Mickey Smith, who you see here, is the new principal at East for the remainder of this year while they seek a permanent replacement. I would assume that Ms. Smith, who has been the assistant principal at East for 11 years and was assistant principals at other high schools in Madison for 9 years before that, would be a leading candidate for that permanent position. She is the first Black woman to lead a high school in Madison in history. So again, that sort of suddenly took place this morning, that Sean Levy, who was just hired, like I said, this year as the principal at East, been moved to a district administrative position, and Ms. Smith has taken over as principal there at Madison East. All right, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful evening. We'll be back tomorrow. It might be a little bit late tomorrow just because I have one more week of coaching soccer practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we will be back then, and but we'll have the podcast in the morning with all the latest news for you, and We will be back tomorrow afternoon here with the latest updates tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you soon.
This is 365 Media.